Welcome to Deep Dive. I'm Kevin Benedict, your host, and I want to thank everyone for joining us today. Today I'm just thrilled to have Brad Wiskirchen from Kount here. He's the CEO of Kount, one of the companies in Boise that's getting a lot of headlines. Matter of fact, I think you guys took over a city block here, building a new office.
Pretty close, yeah. I guess never thought about it like that, but yes, we taken over the better part of a city block.
Yes, I've been watching the construction happen over the last year.
Yeah, it's going to be fantastic.
So you guys are doing some really interesting things. So before we jump into Kount, just tell us a little bit about yourself, Brad.
Not a lot to tell. Honestly, I went to BYU undergrad, Notre Dame Law School, so I could be religiously ambiguous. Graduated from Notre Dame and went to work for Holland & Hart, which is the largest law firm in the Rocky Mountain region with offices on the East Coast and elsewhere, obviously. And was a partner there, headed their business, what did they call it? Business Entities Group, which every other firm in the world calls their M&A group, I think. But,
and I think that's where I first met you.
Yes, it was. Back in the day, that's right. We've known each other a long time.
I know.
Left there.
You got better looking every year.
Oh, well, yeah. Fatter and balder. That's helpful. Everybody likes that. So I left Holland & Hart to become CEO of ClickBank, which I interacted with you a lot when I was CEO of ClickBank. And the team ended up identifying that we had a big opportunity in the fraud control space with the technology that we'd invented and patented in order to protect our own merchant account.
Yep.
And ultimately, we productized it and spun off another company, Kount, to be a fraud control exclusive company, and that's taken off nicely. And we did our A round about 3 years ago for $80 million with CVC, who most people don't realize is one of the largest private equity firms in the world. They have 23 offices. They have offices in 23 countries, and they have portfolio companies like Petco and Breitling and a lot of big things. We've got to be probably the smallest company in their portfolio, but they've been great to work with.
Oh, that's terrific.
That's the story of Kount, I guess.
Oh, that's brilliant. So fraud, that's a big area to be responsible for. What's the biggest challenge your team faces every morning when they come in here?
Well, there's a lot of opportunities. Fraud's, unfortunately, a growth industry. Fortunately for us, but unfortunately for the world. And so we've expanded. We initially started the company with an eye on transactional fraud, usually engaging with the order form of any particular merchant or engaging at the point of the transaction with the payment processors, gateways, and financial institutions. But what we realized a few years ago was that fraud had expanded, and though it was initially probably targeted at that use case, it had expanded to the point where it was necessary to monitor each of a merchant's digital interactions with its end consumers, starting at the point of first interaction, when they first hit their site or first download their app, through account creation, through each digital interaction thereafter until the financial transaction or other transaction of value. So, and
then after the fact, authenticating that the same person's the same person, right?
Continuously, yeah. So there's now we're a much broader use case. Some companies use us in many companies actually use us in each and every one of their digital interactions with their consumers. And I think that's where you'll see us headed more in the future, is just providing security through every digital interaction with one's consumer.
Man, when I was reading about you guys, I was thinking, so all these companies all around are experiencing digital transformation.
Yeah.
And with a lot of companies, what that means is more and more of their businesses engaged with online through digital interactions, which means the opportunity for that fraud through digital means is increasing all the time.
Yep.
And if they're going to grow their business, they have to grow their online operations, which means it's a natural growth market for you.
True, and it's also a new era for them, and they're used to brick and mortar fraud. They're used to cameras and security guards and whatever else. And there's virtually no company that's not currently evaluating their digital interactions and the possibility of digital interactions with their consumers, things we never would have thought of 10 years ago, like oil and gas companies that we represent, some of the largest in the world, who now have apps, and you can pay at the pump with an app or pay for anything else with their app. And though they're used to dealing with credit card fraud at the pump or a number of other types of probably shoplifting once you get into the store, things like that, now they have to deal with these digital interactions, and it's a very sophisticated form of fraud usually that they're dealing with, and they're dealing with types of fraud that they've historically never had to worry about. So, and then you look at many of the quick service restaurants, and we represent a disproportionately large number of the big quick service restaurants. And as a result, people like, it's very, very well published, people like, Dunkin', Domino's, and many, many others. And they've moved from that interaction where you go up to the cash register and pay for it to everything's in-app. There's opportunities to populate your wallet, which is part of their app, with money, and upgrade it and top it off. And with each of those interactions, there's an opportunity for fraudsters to interject themselves and take advantage of it. So things like that, and even virtually every historically brick and mortar business is having now more and more digital interactions and e-commerce transactions and mobile transactions and app transactions. So with each one of those new types of transactions comes new use cases for fraud. And we've been fortunate because we are so large globally, and we see so much fraud in over 180 countries on any given day, and have for many years. And because our supervised and unsupervised machine learning have been monitoring fraud trends across just innumerable verticals. We're really well positioned to be effective for these people immediately. And that's probably one of the things I hear most is once we turned it on, we immediately saw results. And it not only fought the fraud we were dealing with, it also helped us open the top of our funnel because we were less concerned about who was joining, who was signing up with our app, and who was engaging in commerce with us. We were able to take transactions from more people in more places, leveraging our riskiest methods of marketing, like affiliate marketing or anything else, and we could do it with security.
Wow. See, that's the part that just, is so tragic. You have all those mom and pop shops, and they're having to combat the levels of sophisticated fraud from all corners of the globe. They need somebody, experts like you guys. So now we all know that you can turn the screw and tighten everything down to the point you're not doing any business.
Oh, sure.
And that doesn't help anyone.
The way to eliminate all fraud is to eliminate all transactions. So it's pretty simple formula.
So how do you ensure great customer experience at the same time keep the fraudsters away?
It's a really good question. We run in the background. Our response time is so fast that the end consumer doesn't realize that it doesn't interrupt them. It doesn't provide friction or add friction to the transaction. So as long as we're able to make it frictionless for our customers to deal with their end consumers, that's the key. So it depends on speed and accuracy. And at the end of the day, none of our clients want to be, in this world, if you can't get a transaction through merchant X, you can go to merchant Y in a couple of clicks. And so you have to be incredibly accurate, and you can't provide any friction or add any friction to the consumer because nobody's patient anymore. Millisseconds matter now. Whereas in the days of dial-up and beyond, it was, we were willing to wait a little bit. We're an inherently impatient society now. So we provide a service to our customers that is lightning fast. I mean, each transaction is evaluated against the billions of other transactions that we've seen historically, and then responses are returned back to our merchants in a time frame that's faster than you and I can blink.
Wow.
So
if you prevent companies from losing money and you allow them to open up the top of the funnel to more customers, you must be making money for them.
Yeah, almost certainly. We have on our website, we have a ton of testimonials from clients who, and it's not irregular to hear them say, not only did they stop our fraud in unbelievable time, like after integration, but also we were able to broaden our products, because the first thing a lot of online retailers do is cut out their most expensive products, which are also usually their highest margin products, because that's what they're dealing with. So we have some very high-end retailers that leverage Kount, folks like Louis Vuitton, places like that who have high-ticket items that are high margin, and a lot of times those high-end retailers have had to cut out probably their most profitable items from transaction flows and carved out arbitrarily almost. I guess it's educated arbitrarily, but they've had to use a blunt instrument, which is saying, I'm not going to take any transactions from this country or from the zip code, because we've had just too high a rate of fraud there. So we enable them to really use very well and very well informed and very pointed tool that enables them to identify actual fraudulent transactions and doesn't limit the geographies in which they can conduct business.
So is smart and good looking and innovative as us in Boise are, we can't do it all ourselves. I mean, you can't know all the fraud around the world. You must have a partner network or something that you're working with.
We have a great partner network, actually. I think it was about the 1 year anniversary of us founding Kount. We partnered with Chase Payment Tech, and they handle, or at the time they handled, they're not very far off that now, 51% of the world's card not present transactions. And we became their exclusive fraud control, which was fantastic.
Oh yeah.
Subsequently, we have great partnerships with Braintree, which is PayPal's payment gateway. People like Venmo. We work with probably one of the fastest growing companies in payments, which is BlueSnap, and so Moneris, the largest acquiring bank in Canada. We do work with Barclays. We've got a great partner network all around the world, eWay in Australia, and these partners, which are acquiring banks, payment processors, payment gateways, we help them protect their entire portfolio of merchants. So when they sign up with one of these gateways, they get a level of fraud control which is significant. So like a BlueSnap, for example, we keep their fraud rate across their entire portfolio of merchants at a 0.2, and you're trying to keep it under 1.0. And then we also, through that same integration with each of these partners, have the ability to then automatically give them our Kount Complete solution, our enterprise solution. And because of the way we've integrated everything, if you've already integrated with that payment processor or payment gateway acquiring bank, you can essentially flip a switch and get our enterprise solution, and it eliminates all the extended integration time that they would normally see with a fraud control provider. So we get it up and running super fast. Like you go from nothing in house to an enterprise level fraud solution in 15 minutes.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So brilliant. So I'm just thinking through this. For every new innovation in emerging technology, this must just introduce a plethora of opportunities for fraud. And there's so much innovation, so much change. Within fintech, there's innovation every day. I get all the newsletters on fintech, and I just see all the introductions of different kinds of cryptocurrencies and blockchain this, blockchain that, and everything else involved. How do you stay on top of that, Brad?
Well, there's a lot of opportunity, and we just have to do the cost-benefit analysis of deciding which things we're going to actually concentrate on. It's pretty interesting to see that our solution actually works for a lot of things that we've never intended it to work for. But we have a very sophisticated team who's able to help our clients adjust the settings of our solution in such a way as to make it effective almost immediately. Well, basically immediately.
Oh yeah.
Before they get up and running. So we spend a lot of time with our clients on their individual use cases and their individual points of pain when it comes to fraud. And I'm a firm believer that in order to conduct business in a digital environment, you need to have real intelligence. And what I define as real intelligence is you have to have the artificial intelligence, like our supervised and unsupervised machine learning, combined with human intelligence, which comes from our clients on their level of tolerance based on their business model, based on the products they sell, based on where they want to go, and our intelligence based on our vast experience across the globe in fraud control. And you combine that artificial intelligence with the human intelligence, you end up with real intelligence upon which to make your growth decisions as a business. And so I think it's an absolute must. And anybody that tells you that a fraud solution can be a set it and forget it type scenario is fooling themselves.
Because fraud doesn't slow down. 24 hours a day is being innovated on.
Yeah, and a one size fits all doesn't work because not all businesses have the same business model. Not all businesses have the same goals. Sometimes people are looking to optimize revenue because they're looking to do a financial transaction. Sometimes they're looking to optimize EBITDA. Sometimes they have very, very low appetite for risk. Sometimes they have a higher appetite for risk, but they don't want to hit that 1% or whatever the trigger is that's going to get them into trouble. So we're able to work with them based on their unique business needs very interactively, and then leverage what we've built to take care of them. And our customer satisfaction is incredibly high.
No, that's great. Brad, if you put on your futurist hat, how would you see your industry that you're in evolving over the next 5 years?
Well, you've identified that there's a lot of new use cases coming up every day. And there's a lot going on with crypto. And each time I hear these new innovations, it's almost always, that's slightly hyperbolic, but it's almost always coupled with the claim that, and this isn't subject to fraud, which just tells me that somebody's just left the back door open and the burglar's going to be coming in because so I would say that with each of those innovations, as each of those technologies expands, as each of those technologies identifies new ways for us to transfer money from one person or one company to the next, there will be new types of fraud that evolve from it, because who was the bank robber that said, I rob banks because that's where the money is? Well, the same can be said for the fraudsters nowadays. They're looking for the latest and greatest thing because that's usually where people have dropped a lot of cash in order to, because it's the fear of missing out, right?
Great. So, Brad, thank you so much for sharing your insight, your background, your industry knowledge, and just educating all of us today. So thank you.
You're welcome. Good to see you again.
And I want to thank all of you guys for tuning in.